Hey, my name is Rich. Welcome to the channel where basically I've never done a Turo video before. Mostly I do retail arbitrage on this channel, but I decided to touch bases on Turo because this is something I used last year and I still do now somewhat. I'll explain that later, but I'm just going to let you guys know of my experience on Turo or Turo. I suck at pronouncing that. So anyways, what is Turo? Turo is a peer-to-peer car sharing platform where basically you can rent or car share your car to another person. So I used Turo last year. I still use it this year. And there's a lot of talk about Turo, starting a business on Turo. How easy is it? How much of the income is passive? Excuse my squeaky chair. And I'll just let you know of some of my experience. So last year, let's do a case study on just one of my cars. So there's a lot of business models you can choose. So basically on this car is where I messed up, and I think this is where the typical person that jumps into Turo also messes up. It's a person that finances a car that's over the actual cash value worth of the car. And so on this car, I financed it, and this is before I read the fine print of Turo. So a lot of people jump into Turo without reading all of the fine prints, and something bad occurs to them and they start to call Turo a scam. Well, that's not necessarily true, because you need to read the fine print in order for you to recover from whatever your case may be, as a car accident, some sort of claim and whatnot. There's a lot of fine print that you need to follow up on. One main piece of advice is get some friends who's also doing Turo, because the more knowledge you have of this, the better. The main issue and concern of Turo is insurance and how your car can be covered. So the majority of the people who call Turo a scam is because they threw their car on Turo and then it got into a car accident, and Turo only covers a certain amount of the car. Majority of the time they just cover the actual cash value. Sometimes you have to fight that now. I don't really know the case as of right now. And for the most part, that particular owner usually financed that car from a dealership where they overpaid for the car, which is what I did as well. My car is not to that extent. A lot of people are putting on $40,000 BMWs that's only worth $30,000. So when it gets into a car accident, they're upside down 10 grand, and they're calling Turo a scam because they didn't read the fine print. And there's also a lot of other things that need to be in the fine print. You need to read the entire guidelines of how you check a person into a car. If you're doing remote, you need to get a picture of their license. You need to get the selfie picture. I don't even know if that's still a thing. So what I was saying in regards to I don't do Turo anymore, I still have a few cars, but I left it off to some of my friends that are also hosts that have multiple cars. I don't do Turo anymore physically. I don't hand off the vehicle and all of that good. So for me personally, I've never taken on a job that I don't like. I took on Turo thinking that I was going to like it, and I ended up not. So I never scaled. I never grew the business bigger. And at the same time, I would have had to make some major adjustments because I live outside of the city, and at first it was doing fairly well. But then business started to drop off, so I knew I had to adjust. It was either I scale personally, find a location closer to the city, or I could just somewhat throw in the towel. And that's fine. You know, a lot of people are afraid to admit that they gave up or they quit on it, because practically that's almost what I did. So I gave my cars to other hosts, and it's still going on now. I still have the cars, and now it's actually 100% passive income. Beforehand, it was not, unless you have a very, very good handoff system in regards to doing it remote or whatever form of fashion you're doing it. It's somewhat not passive. It's not as passive as people claim it to be, unless you have the perfect system, because that's what will make your business thrive, if you have the perfect system. Also, in regards to the actual cash value of the car, that's why there's different business models. I don't have the full 100% knowledge of, because I never explored into it, but I am aware of it now. So there's what they call the shooters, whenever you pay for a $3,000-$4,000 car that you really don't care about, and it's way under the actual cash value. There's the auction style, there's the dealership style, where you're buying cars whenever you're renting it out, making some money off of it and waiting for the car to sell. There's all kinds of ways. I'm not 100% familiar with all of the ways. So also in regards to the ACV, you can get a much better payout than the example I gave earlier about the $40,000 BMW. Say if you bought a Toyota Yaris worth $5,000 and you paid $3,000 for it, you rent it out, you make $1,000 in rental, and whenever it gets in a car accident, guess how much Turo pays you? The actual cash value. So you're up in the positive in this case. And that's what a lot of people is missing. So that's the big myth to me that I wanted to address, is the fact that people call Turo a scam when it's really not. They're just really, really strict to their fine print. And also, before I jump on the computer and show you the specs of one of my cars, I have two other friends that they're very successful with Turo, and they have a fleet of vehicles, and they agreed to me that they're gonna hop on one day on Skype or something for a quick Q&A, so I can show you some of their business models. All right, I'm going to jump on the computer and show you my car. Okay, so here's Turo.com. This is the first thing you see. It looks almost as if you're a traveler instead, where you can book and whatnot, but you have this host button and you can see your vehicles, performance, reviews, earnings, settings. I'm going to show you guys my earnings. Let's see, this is 2019. So I really didn't make that much, $11,998. And like I told you guys, at first it was doing fairly well in my area, and then it started to drop off. Right here, I already turned the cars off. I did have one car go out. So let's go ahead and look at one of my cars. Here is a Nissan Sentra. See, I'll actually admit to you that I financed this car, $13,000. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to give you guys the exact specifics. So I'm going to give you guys the rough estimate of this car's earnings. So I pay roughly $240 per month for this car and around $80 in insurance. So that's what, $320-ish. And then you have the cost of maintenance, new tires, new oil change, all that good stuff. I can't really give you the numbers on that because I don't have my books open. I'm just giving you guys a rough estimate. And then you have, see, this is what people don't factor whenever people just jump onto Turo. How much does your car depreciate? So you need to calculate that in. So let's take a look at the first month. I made $489. And this is what you receive after Turo already takes their cut. So I received $489 on my first month for this car. Probably average less than $100 whenever you take everything else into consideration. Right here, I made a little additional, and then it went lower and lower. You can even see where I took a loss here. Got higher and higher, lower. So it fluctuates, okay? So yes, it does fluctuate. And this is just a quick overview of a different car. As you can see, I just wanted to show you guys the potential earnings. So this car made $1,500 in 1 month, but this was also at the time of when Turo used to pay hosts more in fees, such as smoking fees, mileage fees, and all that good stuff. So that's not really around as much anymore. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. So I would still get a little bit of that amount that goes towards that car payment, but the amount the car depreciates, you wouldn't receive that much. That's why if I was still to redo Turo, I would go the entirely different route, as I mentioned before, and paying under the actual cash value of the car by going to either auctions or buying cars privately. So that's your best bet. So that would be my suggestion if you wanted to get into Turo. Overall, I've had a good experience because I read most or almost all of the small fine print, and that's where people mess up and start calling Turo a scam. So you really need to look into the strict policies, and you really need to gather yourself up some friends that also do Turo, or put yourself in a position where you're familiar with other hosts and you're able to discuss these types of things. So hopefully soon I'll be able to get my friends on here that's also hosts, and they have a much more successful run with Turo, and some of them even do it full time. So just stay tuned if you're still looking to Turo. And feel free to check out some of my other videos, which mostly consist of retail arbitrage. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for those Q&As.